Welcome back to Become a Calm Mama. I'm your host. I'm Darlene Childress. I'm a life and parenting coach. And last week, I introduced you to the concept of the drama triangle. And I talked about how there are three roles in this maladaptive or unhealthy relational dynamic, which is the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. And we talked about how those roles can really limit our opportunities for growth, our opportunities to relate better with each other, and it can create kind of an unhealthy dynamic within your family. And after I finished that episode, I started to think about the strategies and the things that you really need to understand in order to move from the drama triangle to the empowerment dynamic. So remember, if you listened to last week, the empowerment dynamic is really the healthier version of how to get out of that victim, persecutor, rescuer model and into a healthier model where the victim becomes the creator, the persecutor becomes the challenger, and the rescuer becomes the coach. And I realized that I kind of introduced those concepts, but I didn't really go into how it actually works to switch roles and to shift into that healthier dynamic. So I wanted to walk us through the empowerment dynamic and really give you a lot of tangible questions you could ask yourself and things to work on in these various roles. So hopefully this will be really tactical and helpful and practical. And you may want to listen to this and then go and journal some of the topics that we talk about, or play this episode like right before you journal on one of these roles so that you can really get yourself unstuck from the drama triangle and into a place of empowerment. Let's talk about first the victim to creator role. So the victim, if you remember, has sort of a poor me mindset. They don't really believe in their own power. They often don't take responsibility for the circumstances that they find themselves in. They feel very helpless. They feel trapped. A lot of times this is where kind of they're ashamed. And so they don't really think that they can get out of themselves. Shame is something's wrong with me. And guilt is I've done something wrong. And so when you really feel like something's wrong with you and that nothing works out for you and everyone's out to get you, you can end up in that victim stance. And in that victim stance, you're doubting your own capabilities and you look to others for guidance and you kind of give over the right to your thoughts and your life and your actions to someone else. Now, as a child, of course, that's kind of how it works. You are young when you're little and you do need help from grown-ups. But what we want to do as parents is we want to empower our kids to realize that they actually can figure out how to solve their own problems. We are here as a guide for them, but we're not here as the helicopter parent, the bulldozer parent that's going to just make sure that everything is paved smoothly because our kids, need us to do everything for them. That's not really helpful for our kids because it doesn't help them grow in their self-confidence. So when you think about a victim and we think about the empowerment dynamic, we want to be able to help a victim, or if it's ourself, if we feel victimized, shift us into becoming the creator. So let me define creator a little bit. The creator wants to create and be their best self. So the creator, instead of being the victim, where the victim is stuck as a bad person or whatever, just kind of weak and helpless, a creator thinks, no, I'm enough. I'm good enough. I get to choose how to respond to my life. I am capable. I have the ability to take care of myself. I can trust myself. I know that I am worthy of trust. So looking at some of these deep beliefs, if you have the victim mindset, you don't believe that you're capable and you think that the world is out to get you. And if you have this creator mindset, you actually do believe that you're capable, you're strong, you can figure things out. And the creator believes that they can figure things out, that they can face hurdles and bumps in their life, and that they can overcome those. So if you want to have a resilient kid, or you want to grow resilience within yourself, you want to move from that victim mentality to that survivor, that thriver, that creator who can problem solve for themselves. So how do you figure out if your kid or you are in this victim mindset? Just asking yourself, like, do I feel helpless? Or thinking to your child, you might be able to say, do you feel like you have power here, that you can do something about this? Even little kids who are working on believing, am I capable, or am I lovable? Am I good enough? Then you can say to them, listen, this is a hard thing. Like, you fell and hurt yourself. That's okay. It's okay to cry. And I know you are strong and you can figure it out. So we're not bypassing the negative emotion here. We're not trying to problem solve and give our kids too much of a pep talk where we are not letting them feel sad if they hurt themselves, or feel sad that they didn't get invited to the birthday party, or feel sad that their brother was mean to them. We let them feel their feelings, and then the message is, this is hard right now, and I know you're going to be okay. This is hard right now, and I know you're going to figure it out. And communicating that to them. And then you can start to ask them, so what do you want to do now? How do you want to handle this? What would you like to do instead? If it's you and you're in a challenging situation and you're feeling victimized, ask yourself, how can I get what I really want in a healthy way? You can just, do I believe I can get what I want? Yes? Okay, how? And really beginning to do those coaching questions with yourself so you can move into that creator role. Acknowledging that you have the ability to figure it out, giving yourself some gratitude for past times, that can be really helpful to get yourself out of a victim space where you think, okay, I have had hard things like this happen to me before, and I have overcome those. And giving yourself examples of this. Now, having that victim mindset, it can sometimes create more hard things. We all have hard things. There's no one person that has it worse than others. At certain times in my life, I have had many hard things happen at once. And the story I told myself about those things was that my life is harder than other people. And I really believed that. And then I would look for evidence of that being true. And then I would tell other people that, and they would reinforce that belief for me. And I ended up experiencing a lot more negative things because I was looking for things that were problems and things that were wrong. And as I have learned that I get to respond to my challenging circumstances, that pain is inevitable, uncertainty is inevitable, constant work is inevitable. These are the things that are true for all of us, that even I have friends who have like beautiful lives and amazing situations, like they have money and they have time and they have, all the energy and health and all these wonderful things going on. They still experience sadness and pain and misfortune. Everybody does. So it's not like one person has it worse than the other. So thinking that you have it worse than others is going to make you look at the world and feel like you are a victim. But instead, I'm inviting you to think about, okay, this hard thing is happening. That's okay. That's not because I've done anything wrong or I deserve this bad thing. It's just kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes, and I can handle it, and let me be creative about how I want to respond. So that response is where the creation comes out, and that belief that I get to be my best self, I get to have my best life, and I'm going to pursue that, pursue best, pursue better, and make the best of hard things. The victim is, oh my God, I only have lemons. And the creator is, look, I made lemonade. Does that make sense? Okay. So with your kids, just you having the mindset of like resilience and overcoming and not catastrophizing and not going into future tripping, not worst case scenarioing, not making everything about you. If you can shift out of that, your kids will borrow a lot of your beliefs. When you communicate with them, when you coach them through hard things, you're naturally going to not use this victim mentality with them. You're going to think, okay, look, my kid's going through something hard and they're going to figure it out and it's going to be okay. That's a belief your kids actually want you to have in them and that they want to have for themselves. So it's super, super powerful, I think, to move from victim to creator. Now, I didn't really explain this very well last week, so I'm really going to explain this week. This is the concept from persecutor to challenger. So the way I talked about it last week is that the challenger in a drama triangle, if you are in that victim rescuer mode, right, where you are the rescuer and your kid is the victim, and then you have the persecutor, I talked about how you want to try to neutralize the persecutor and make it a little bit more neutral, like it is a challenge. So that's how I framed it in that context from the drama triangle last week, just trying to make the persecutor not have so much power. And now I want to talk about what if you or someone you know tends to be the persecutor in their like relationships. So what does the persecutor do? Some of the attributes of a persecutor is that they blame others, they're aggressive, they're judgmental, they bully, they belittle, they demand, they're spiteful, they're scornful. Even as I'm saying this, it's so funny to me that I thought my husband was the persecutor of my son because he was not really like this. It's just interesting to me. I talked about that last week if you want to go back and listen. But the persecutor really doesn't want to take personal responsibility, right? They respond with judgment. They respond with criticism. They're critical of other people. They don't give the benefit of the doubt. They're not very compassionate. They don't want to take the perspective of other people. They're not interested in working through problem solving through that like compassionate lens. That is a persecutor. Now, sometimes that's you, right? Sometimes we as moms can become the persecutor of our kids, and we feel like they need to figure out what they're doing wrong and they need to take responsibility and it's all their fault and it's because I've told them 100 times and this is enough, and we get mad and we get assertive with them. So the persecutor is that unhealthy model. And in the empowerment dynamic, the persecutor moves to the challenger. So I want to talk a little bit about the challenger person. So we had the victim goes to creator, persecutor goes to challenger. The challenger is still an assertive person, right? I want you to be the leader of your home. I want you to be the leader of your family. And how we do that is really through, in the Calm Mama process, limit, set, correct, right? We don't need to go out and like persecute our children and try to punish them in order for them to learn and take responsibility. What we want is to be an assertive, a strong, authoritative person with good boundaries. So challengers, they encourage themselves and others to step up and grow so that they become the best person they can be. So a challenger, what they believe is that every person is going to make mistakes and that's okay, and that they can overcome those mistakes and they are meant to learn and grow. A challenger doesn't think about blaming and judging others, but thinks about how can I be more honest with myself with areas that maybe I need to improve, while also being good at having boundaries with other people. So keeping yourself accountable is a huge part from going from persecutor to challenger. If you want to be that strong leader, I think of it like challenger is the word from the empowerment dynamic, the book, but really I think of from persecutor to leader in many ways. So if you want to have that leadership energy in your family, you need to be able to take accountability for areas where maybe you did not set a good boundary. Maybe you haven't communicated the rules and routines to your kids. Maybe you did fly off the handle and get upset and lose your calm and start going into mad mom syndrome. And in that moment, you are now blaming your kids. I only yell because you don't listen to me. You need to take responsibility for the fact that you yell because you're dysregulated and you're not calming yourself. So self-accountability is really important. Working on your own self-regulation is really important so that you don't slip into that persecutor mode. Really having that clear connection with yourself and your own emotions and where you're at so that you can approach the people in your life without blaming and criticizing and bringing all this negative energy to the relationship and putting somebody in a victimized position by blaming them. Instead, coming back into yourself and working on your own self-regulation, your own ability to name and process your own emotions. Work on showing vulnerability, being more honest with how you're struggling with people, because a persecutor has a lot of guards up. But a leader is willing, they're not in a poor self-esteem space, right? They're confident that they know what, needs to happen, and they also can recognize their own shortcomings. So asking questions to build trust with others, seeking help, showing your own vulnerability, that will get you out of that persecutor mode. Another way to get out of the persecutor mode, I think, is compassion. Really being able to put yourself in the lens, in the eyeballs, in the shoes of the other person and wonder, why are they behaving this way? They may be struggling with something. And so can I have a little bit of tenderness? Can I slow down my need to get them to obey or listen to me or do what I say? Can I slow that down a little bit and listen a little bit more? So when we slow down, we end up moving out of that persecutor mode because persecutor is hot. Persecutor is quick, right? Persecutor goes right to it. There's no pause. There's no break. And then we put that other person into that victimized role. And then the rescuer has to come in and save everybody from the persecutor. So if you're the persecutor, keep working on your own self-regulation and being more and more clear about your boundaries, about your expectations, about your limits. And when you are more clear and you are calm, it is easier for the people around you to keep your boundaries, to respect those boundaries, to keep your limits. I have lots and lots of episodes on limit setting. It's a primary feature of the Calm Mama process. So just think about if you're in that persecutor mode, it might be because you're not setting good limits. I used to say to myself, whenever I am angry, that's a clue to me that I didn't set up a good limit. So if I'm mad at my kids for sneaking candy or not, putting all their Halloween candy in the switch bag or whatever it is, if I'm angry with them and I'm like, you guys, you're taking advantage of me and you're so disrespectful, and I start to criticize and judge. Well, when I'm in that mode, I'm in a persecutor mode. It's good for me to take a step back and be like, okay, what is my actual limit? Happy to give you guys sweets on Fridays as long as there's no sneaky treats all week, right? Happy to read books to you tonight as long as your bedroom floor is tidy. Happy to give you your allowance as long as these basic chores are complete. So you have boundaries, you have limits, and then you communicate those limits. So when you are angry, that's your clue that you are not in your challenger mode. You're not in your leadership mode. You are in your attack mode, right? Okay. The last one of the drama triangle is the rescuer. And in the empowerment dynamic, the rescuer becomes the coach. So let's talk for a minute about rescuers. The rescuer's main thought is, let me help you, right? So if the victim's main thought is poor me, and the persecutor's main thought is they did something wrong, your main thought, if you're a rescuer, is let me help you. So I've talked about where I land. I sometimes am a victim. Sometimes I'm a rescuer. Sometimes I'm a persecutor. We all take on these different roles at different times. And even in like I could be persecuting my kids and then rescue them. Like it's almost like psychotic how we act sometimes. So just realize that it's okay. You're going to switch between these roles. There's one that you primarily do. Mine is fix it, fuck it. I go rescuer, persecutor, right? A lot. And all that is to protect me from being victimized. So that's the way it works for me. But probably for you, you have one role that is more common than other roles, right? So maybe you're more a victim. I don't present as a victim because I am terrified of being one. So I push away vulnerability and being helpless and weak and those kinds of things. And I get power through persecuting, and I get self-esteem through rescuing. So I'm really self-aware. So that's why I can articulate all of that. And your invitation is just to figure out, how do you act? And if these words, victim, persecutor, rescuer, help you, great. Keep kind of exploring this. So the rescuer, they're like, let me help you. So they appear self-sacrificing, overly helpful. They like to be needed. They're prone to meddling unnecessarily, right? They like to be needed. That's really important, because if you want to switch out of the rescuer mode and go into the coach mode, you need to be giving yourself, like, teaching your kids in such a way that eventually you're not needed, right? Working yourself out of a job. That's kind of the goal of parenting. So if we need to be needed by our kids, then we're going to end up keeping them in that victimized space. And that is, unhealthy for them and for you. So the rescuer often sees the person as they needing being saved, right? That they are helpless and I need to help them. Now, if we want to switch from the rescuer mode to the coach mode, ask yourself, am I trying to save someone? So the rescuer is like, am I trying to save someone? The persecutor is, am I blaming someone? The victim, do I feel helpless? So ask yourself these questions, and then you can kind of figure out what role you're in. So if you are thinking to yourself, I have been a rescuer of my kids. I'm permissive. I'm overly helpful. I keep rescuing them from their own problems and pain. I keep intervening and meddling in their relationship with their sibling. I'm meddling in their relationship with their co-parent, with my co-parent. You want to be able to switch into a belief that the person that you're rescuing has the innate wisdom to solve their problems. So if I believe, and this is how I am as a coach, deep down, I believe in your wisdom and your intuition, especially as a mom. I will listen to you and I'll ask you, well, what's your thought about that? What do you think is ideal? If, that's why I like the magic wand exercise. Like, if you had a magic wand, what would you do? Because I think we all have good ideas inside of us. And so my job as a coach is to empower you that you get to create the life that you want. So the message that the coach gives is, I care about you and I know you are capable. That's the message you need to give to yourself. If you feel like you need rescuing, right, and you're in a victim mode, that you go and you say, you are capable. I am capable. And the same thing, if you find yourself in a lot of relationships where you're the one that everyone calls and everyone's needy for, and you're the one who is always in on the business and getting all the dirt, and everybody needs to talk to you about it and get your advice, that probably means you're in a rescuer mode a lot. Begin believing that other people in your life are capable of solving their own problems. And listening, asking good questions, setting boundaries about when you're available, what you're willing to do, when you're willing to do things. How can I empower this person? So you're listening, but you're not solving. You might give some ideas, provide some choices, and then trust that their wisdom is the answer. So you're empowering the people in your life by giving them the confidence that they can handle it, that they can take care of it, that they can do it for themselves. And then if they make mistakes in their life, you're letting them make those mistakes, especially with your kids. Letting your kids make mistakes and finding out how life works, right? Yeah, go ahead and try to go to the park and like smack a little kid and see what happens. Yep, when you do that, we leave the park. That's how it goes. And not persecuting them, not like, what's wrong with you? You're such a bad kid. You shouldn't hit other kids, like turning them into a persecutor of the other kids and making them in this drama triangle. No. Or rescuing them. Oh, you were so sad. You were so mad and now you're hitting everybody. It's okay. Yeah, you can hit people. Like, no, right? This is one of the problems with gentle parenting or, this connected parenting is validating a kid's emotions. It's wonderful. I teach it too. And we can't stop there, right? We have to have boundaries and we have to have consequences. And we have to say, your feelings make sense, but your behavior needs work. And so we want to validate the kid, the victim, and then also empower them that they can handle the consequences of their actions, the impacts of their mistakes. They can learn through hard things and they can handle hard things. If you don't believe your kids can handle hard things, you're going to avoid letting them experience hard things. And then the bummer is that they don't then get to build that resilience. So hopefully you can see how all of this works together. We have the drama triangle, that is the maladaptive, unhealthy ways that we relate to each other. And then we have the empowerment dynamic, and that is that shift from those negative, hurtful, unhealthy strategies into a more healthy dynamic within yourself, within your relationship with your kids, with your partner, and then moving out into your friendships, your sibling relationships with your parents, right? You can really kind of see what roles you play. So again, the questions to ask yourself when you are trying to figure out what role you're in is, the first one is, do I feel helpless? So if you feel helpless in a situation, that means that you are identifying as a victim. Ask yourself, am I blaming someone? If that's true, then you might be in the persecutor mode and you need to switch to challenger, to leadership. The third question to ask yourself is, am I trying to save someone? If you're trying to save someone, you're in the rescuer and you want to switch to coach. Okay, I really hope that you found this helpful. Like I said, you can look up the empowerment dynamic. The original creator of this concept is David Emerald, and he wrote a book called The Power of Ted. And the Karpman drama triangle was created by Stephen Karpman in 1968. So you can just look up drama triangle or Karpman drama triangle, or look up the empowerment dynamic, and you can explore some of these for yourself if you want to get deeper into it. I just wanted to give you this perspective. Also, I talk about this a lot in my club program and in my private coaching program. I'm always bringing up the drama triangle. And so I really wanted to have an episode dedicated to the drama triangle and the empowerment dynamic so that everybody could kind of go back and listen and remember what the heck I'm even talking about when I'm talking about it. Okay, mamas, you are all incredible. You're all capable of being the calm mama you want to be. You all have the ability to heal yourself. You all are incredible. You listening right now in the car, you listening on your walk, you listening while you make dinner, you listening while you're waiting for pick up your kids. I want you to know I deeply believe in your internal mama wisdom, and I want you to learn to trust it. And if you need help with that, I'm here for you. You can join the Calm Mama Club, $30 a month. We get to hang out every Tuesday, and I'll coach you and help you and support you. Or you can work with me privately. I have some openings. I hardly ever have openings for that program. But yeah, reach out. book a complimentary consultation with me. We'll link that link in the show notes so that you can connect with me. And yeah, I just love to get to know you and help you get out of the drama triangle, into the empowerment dynamic, and become a calm mama. All right, have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Hey mama, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, I want to encourage you to do two things. The first is go to my website, calmmamacoaching.com, and get a copy of the Stop Yelling cheat sheet. You'll get a step-by-step breakdown of the most important tool I teach, which is the pause break. And you'll also get 40 ideas to reset your body and balance your nervous system so you don't have to yell at your kids. You can get a copy of that, again, at my website, calmmamacoaching.com/stop yelling. The other thing I'd love for you to do is go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast so that other moms can discover empowering and helpful, practical parenting strategies, just like you did today. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. It means a lot to be in your ear every week and to support you on your parenting journey.